Here he is, Martin Luther King III. What an honor to meet you, first off. Congratulations on the wonderful speech you just gave, and welcome to Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. How does it feel?
Well, quite frankly, last night it was very cold, but today it feels great.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here, particularly for this conference that brings a variety of leadership to be exposed to a lot audiences of business and students and reflective of this community. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to have shared today.
What did you think of the facility that we had here? And, of course, we've got a lot of young kids here that you can share your message, which I think is a big deal.
Yes, I'm always happy to speak to young people. They are our future. They are up-and-coming leaders. Some, particularly even in high school, are already leading, providing leadership. And so much of what I talk about is the leadership that my dad and really my mom provided in our nation and world, and how everyone must find their calling. And when you find that calling, you must do those jobs so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn could do them no better.
I was intrigued by the story about how Negroes came from the U.S. to Canada as a form of safe haven. And what I was also really intrigued about, I had heard about this before, but you talked about in the spiritual songs, the codes that they had. That's pretty cool.
Yes, it was. It's amazing to me that my ancestry was, even though you were oppressed, you found a way to communicate a message through music that the overseer would just assume you were sharing another religious message about something to come in the future, not literally realizing that you're talking about this is the way to freedom right now, literally. It was very powerful, profound.
You, of course, you were 10 years old when your father was assassinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
I often wonder, the world mourned the loss of a great spiritual leader, but what we tend to forget is that a 10-year-old boy lost his father. How did you deal with that? What was that experience like for you? Because I don't know that we can really understand that.
Well, that was certainly one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult experience of my life. To learn, first of all, we learned about it from the evening news. My father had been in Memphis, Tennessee, and on the newscast, we watching the newscast. It wasn't like we were warned. All of a sudden, the newscaster comes up, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has just been shot. And obviously we were frantic. So we ran back to my mom's room. Now, she had already been on the phone talking to Ambassador Andrew Young, and Jesse Jackson also called her to tell her that Dad had been shot. And Ambassador Young said, it's pretty bad, and you probably need to come. So Mom was preparing to go to the airport, but she didn't have an explanation for us at that moment. What she did was she prepared, got to the airport, and once she arrived at the airport, the mayor of the city was there, and he had found out that Dad had actually passed. So he came to her to tell her. She came back home to prepare us. And a day or so later, she went to Memphis to fly with his remains back to Atlanta. And I think I was just in a fog for a number of days and maybe weeks. And dreams, I would have dreams that maybe this was just not true. It was the toughest period of our lives. But I'm thankful that my mom and others helped provide us with a foundation so that we could continue to move forward. And I had a grandfather and grandmother who were outstanding and had great faith. My grandfather was a pastor, the pastor of Ebenezer Church. Dad was co-pastor. And so because I was around people of great faith, my uncles and aunts, that's what helped us to make it through that very difficult period. And finally, very good friends who were there to support us.
Obviously, you're a person of great optimism and hope, and I know you've met with Donald Trump, and you have your issues, but you're still considering, or you still believe in hope for the future.
Oh, absolutely. I'm an eternal optimist, and although I think you have to be realistic to understand that we are now in a time where progress may be slowed down, but it's not going to ever be stopped. I think people have the propensity and desire to move forward, and that's what's going to happen, regardless of President Trump maybe feeling like he needs to do things that turn the clock back. I just don't believe that's going to happen.
Finally, thinking about teamwork training brought you in here. How have they treated you right? Because I know people. I can help you out.
Teamwork training has treated us outstandingly. I mean, it has been an extraordinarily wonderful experience. My wife and daughter are here with me as well, and not here at the conference, but they are here. And so this has been a very, very positive and wonderful experience.
One last question. What did you think of David Oyelowo's portrayal of your father?
I think he did a decent job, a very decent job, particularly in light of the fact that he is British. So, I mean, to be able to garner some of the cadence. Now, one of the things that the public probably doesn't know is what they did was they took all of the words of the speeches of my father's and they rewrote them, as opposed to using his actual words. Those were not his words. There's a reason why, but that's because the definitive rights to do a film were granted a few years back, to DreamWorks and Steven Spielberg. So they would have had to get permission from Spielberg, and for whatever reason they chose not to do that. So they rewrote they took the exact speeches. And my higher point is this: I think he did well, and if he was able to do that well with words that were not Dad's, there's no telling what would have happened had he been able to do it with the actual words.
I have a vision. No, yeah. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.